and then castor oil, and then I put on hot, wet towels, so I compress. That's the key. Even to raindrop or anything or castor oils is the hot, wet towel. Secondary then is I put a little bit of ice, but not very much. I found that if I just let the towel cool down, that was okay. So then it became my 4 months of experiment, Ariel. As you know, I grated potatoes, as you know, which I put on there. And the potatoes and the cabbage were one of the best things for swelling.
So that was like a poultice that to basically pull out
Absolutely.
inflammation.
Yeah, that was actually, you could see measurable in there. So we used the oils, we used that. Absolutely no biomat. That was the one thing I learned, because a lot of people think, oh, back pain or whatever. Never put a amethyst biomat on a wound like this.
Or you're
All
saying like when it's actively inflamed because of it'll just increase the circulation too much at that
yeah,
stage.
yeah. I almost lost my ankle once, and I mean, I know people think they want to be helpful, but you really have to know some of the stuff. So absolutely no infrared. What I did do as well is I teamed up with a colleague here, which is basically I had people too. I had Reiki masters and I had Art Despens in here, like immediately. Patrick, Mary Rose was here. But one of my colleagues is Remy Valois, and Jessica is now doing biofeedback with us a bit too. But he had just reopened his health center and a bit of a retreat and Airbnb up here. And he's got cold laser, but we had activator on, and I actually was doing cupping. So we started doing the deep tissue massage, and he's got a cold laser up here. So between all of it, it was very, very helpful. But I mean, now to be standing, I just got rid of actually the crutches this week. I got rid of his cane, and I actually have been up just starting to slowly dance. So it's also been doing physiotherapy at our local pool in Saskatoon. So I started doing, once to twice a week physiotherapy with intense jets. And so they laugh at me in the pool now in Saskatoon. I've got an entire like pool tribe there now. But
Well, that's amazing. First of all, the fact that I think, the point shouldn't be lost for people listening that you didn't have any surgery. I think if you went to a regular hospital environment or regular private practice, they would have almost insisted that you have surgery on this area.
yeah, they haven't, because I'm off the grid. I went through that the first time, even trying to get X-rays, or when you're off the system or off the grid, you need to be able to stand in seriously, like know your rights, going even into those sort of situations, because I really have to, like, that's why I'm so knowing this stuff, is not only was I the union rep, but as a clan mother and tribe mother up here, is that you lose your rights when you go into a hospital. They could experiment on you. They can give you, whether they want to give you Agent Orange and they want to give you any psychotropic drug, you might think you're getting aspirin, but it may not be that. So in the fine print, you give up your power. And this is something that's done, even most people don't know, but when you go into a hospital or even a correctional facility, they have secret agreements with the Department of Defense. So once your, health card, and I don't even have a health card. I don't have any contracts with the government, so I wasn't going there. And, again, having absolutely no surgery, my knee is in better shape right now, because I figured it took me 9 months to kind of create it. So we thought we'd just recreate it for fun. But it's going to be stronger than the other one, actually, because of what we've done. And I mean, every day, this is part of it. I've done yoni steams, as strange as it might seem to people. But when you're sitting over the hot steam, it penetrates into that chakra or into that area.
Well, let's
So,
just talk about that for just a
yeah,
moment because they can find you on Facebook,
for sure.
and they can look for, is the Facebook page called Yoni Steams 101? Remind us what that is.
Well, they could go to Karen McDonald or Karen Ann McDonald and they'll find me. And actually, that's a great idea. I think I'm going to start my own Yoni Steam one. I'm starting to do colonics and everything. So yeah, part of the first thing too was fasting the first week. I absolutely didn't take anything orally. And that's
But before we go to that, I want people to understand, because most people wouldn't make a connection between healing their knees and whether they're male or female working on their first chakra and doing a yoni steam. But I want people to definitely go to you for education. I hope that we can do a joint class together and get more people integrated between the genius and the yoni steams, because I think along with castor oil pack and coffee enema and juicing, that we should now embrace these yoni steams, whether you're male or female. I mean, you may not have quote unquote yoni, but that area of the perineum, that whole area there, when it is this, you employ these steams or the yoni pearls, what I believe is it really clears that first chakra emotionally, physically, psychically. Tell us a little bit more about your take on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just coming around to that. The reason why is on Facebook, if you go there, is that I have all the medical PowerPoints. So my Facebook is not just a Facebook, that is my medical page. And it's a documentation and it's a chronological thing of what was happening. So I actually made a page on this, you know, Karen's knee and stuff. But there's Salmac we put in there to get in there. The yoni steam, again, as people, you know, it's becoming the fad now because that's just a Sanskrit word. Whether we say lingam for male, you know, vagina, prostate, whatever. In our language, it's actually called a punin in Russian or Cree up here. So it's very important, or Bertango or whatever it is, like steamy chick. The root chakra is the root chakra. And if you look at the blood supply, and I've got a whole thing in there on Facebook, I think I've got 4 different ones just on these steams. Because what you're doing is the intensest blood supply, especially for women, is in the vagina. And even when you do the herbal tampons, and I did do them, especially the first 2 weeks in there, I put in those herbal tampons because I needed as much blood supply and healing to the root chakra. So
Oh,
when you,
wow. It's
yeah,
interesting. But did you do specific, so could you put in herbs in
mhm,
like that kind of a
yep,
intervention like that have to do with healing and reducing inflammation to the
I did,
knee?
yep, absolutely. So
Ooh, you're smart. You're smarty pants. That's really cool.
we're genius, beyond smart. We're genius. We're geniuses here. It's again fixing the genes, you know, and knowing your system. The root chakra, like I said, you need to go in there. Everyone makes a mistake. They want to give a pill. They want to give a drink. They want to give a tea. They want to give an elixir. That's the wrong way to go. The root, because you bypass all the organs trying to filter out everything anyway. So, having been like you are too, I'm a colon hydrotherapist. So, it's not just for decolonizing, it's for implantation. So, the enemas and the steams I did penetrate 70 to 100% absorption. I also did essential oil and making suppositories and stuff. So when you put in your aromatherapy or you put in your herbs into, let's say, a cacao um, suppository, you're going to absorb 100% of it in the evening. And one of the things I did immediately was to make sure that, and this is the key secret, is to go into, whether you would say solarian or breatharian, is to fast. And it's not anything we did in the hospital as nurses. What we did is we gave you bicarb, so we alkalized you. We gave you the right minerals, so I made sure I had all my Soleil and electrolytes and Salmac. And I made sure, you know, that I didn't eat anything for 3, 4 days because your digestive system takes so much energy.
Now,
And the
were you checking yourself on the Genius too and just sort of seeing where you were or wanting Genius frequencies at the same time?
I did it all at the same time. So I made sure that I did the Genius was redone every day. And I mean, I had a skill here too. And of course, I was so busy with you because we could now celebrate our first year of, you know, even as being friends on Facebook, our friend anniversary. But
I
um,
know.
oh yeah, happy friend anniversary, by the way.
Happy friendversary. Thank you.
Thank you. You've been like the greatest blessing to me and to Alex up here.
And
Um,
likewise.
yeah, it was amazing. But one of the things too is getting that genius in there or that, you know, the frequencies in is very, very important because it speeds up the healing. The other thing too, and I was able to monitor, you know, in real time. And I'm sure actually a lot of it, like, you know, I even called you, there was Dr. Richard Bartlett from Matrix Energetics. We were all on this thing. It's our project. Now, the oils were very specific that I did also, which I put some into the yoni steams and I put some into the um, herbs, which was stuff like birch oil, because I also wanted to cover the emotions. There's something in the right side on the male side, you know, Capricorn knee, I don't know, wounded knee, whatever. You know, I just like to cover all bases. Not that I tie so much into that because people get so caught into EFT and tapping that they miss their entire lives. But what I did do is I did go into the birch oil that I got from, I've got here from Nev Essence now, and the sweet birch, because the bones and the spruce and the frankincense and the myrrh all penetrate the bones and through the blood barrier. So just on the emotional thing with like Dr. Carolyn Mean for, you know, fear of authority, or I'm going, we are the authority. I don't know what the problem is, but you know, but just moving forward and stuff like that. But, you know, I did do a little bit of yoga, you know, and I'm just getting to the point now the last 2 days was the last 48 hours is without anything, you know. And really, it becomes not just a knee thing. This was so traumatized, and it still is swollen. I mean, when you can see still like scars from like, March, it's still pretty traumatized. So it becomes the hip, it becomes the alignment, it becomes the nerves, it becomes um, your entire chakra. That whole meridian has been affected. But I did colon hydrotherapy, and the other reason is to keep that root chakra totally clean and pristine. Because if there's any other kind of, candida, yeast, fungus, mold, anything that you get in, that's going to, deter away from the healing. And that's the same thing with the fasting. So fasting and enemas and colonics go right into healing anyone. And if they do that, they'd never have to go to a hospital. And its mind is the matter, because we can do anything. I've learned how to firewalk. I can put back a knee together. And we need to be able to create and procreate and not be dependent on other people. And it's an amazing experience to go through. I think I've learned a lot too, and I learned a lot more with poultices, more herbs, using the yoni steam, because just sitting on that steamer unit with all that is not just your knee, it's not just the vagina, it's the root chakras and everything in the biofield. And if we know about anything about medicine now, we're actually magnetic and electrical. So biofeedback and scalar waves function on this, and you're dealing in that other field to make the difference here. So I mean, we can program in things, and I've learned how to program a lot of stuff. So I've got like a whole list of things. I could sit here for weeks just programming now, to build up the immune system, or develop the protocol after this. So this is
Yeah,
what.
that's really great. Well, we want to know more about that as you begin to put that together. But
Mhm.
I'm so grateful that you're doing better, that you're up, you're dancing around. You've
Oh yeah,
performed an absolute miracle with biofeedback and the herbs and the steams. But you're like, we can all witness that and learn from it. And sharing your Facebook page so people can go and connect with you. And I'm just so grateful that you're part of this community, and thank you for sharing the genius with other people. We really, really appreciate it.
my absolute pleasure. I've been doing so much. Even the people that, as you think, the ex-vets, military, the secret space program has been watching what I've been doing, and Commander Chief Patty Broussard. So, I mean, this is affecting entire things that is now affecting even into the Army now. I don't know if you know, is now developing holistic natural path kits for them because of triage
Good,
and stuff. So
good.
it's
That's
got
wonderful.
far reaching things right now. And I mean, even for what we're doing with the food, the raw food, the vegan, they are now setting up raw food, vegan mobile trucks for that and spring water up here, by the way. So this was huge. This has got such a huge ripple effect. I can't thank everyone, and for everyone in here in the audience, and our friends and all the people that have joined us in this way of, developing people for a new wave of medicine. It's
It's
huge.
exciting.
It
It's
is,
exciting times.
yeah, it's fun. It's wild. It's doing that. People are really learning a lot of, coming back to our original customs, usages, and laws. This is really what our ancestors and our mothers did, and it's an amazing thing. It really is. Everything around us is here, from it's the dandelion leaf to my birch tree to drinking birch water to putting birch essential oil on from Tony to, you know, any way I can, steaming it up, putting my thing on a birch steam. So it's great. It really is.
Well,
But,
thank you so, so much. And I want to talk more. We'll get a sort of a joint or group effort webinar going where we can talk more about the yoni steam so we can really dial that in. People can really understand it on a deeper level. Meanwhile, they'll contact you at your Facebook page. But I am so grateful you're feeling better. And I know that everybody who sort of listens on a regular basis will be grateful to have gotten an update so that they know that you're okay and you're doing much better.
it is. This is fantastic, and I really want to thank everyone. And if they need to get a hold of me, it's at clanmother13 with a K at Gmail. So I've got all the Facebooks, and they can track me even just on YouTube. I've done so many international like basis programs in like Red Pill and Remoladi, and I'm on so many radio and TV shows right now coming in and bringing this in, as you know, into different areas and internationally. So we're all coming together. It's like our, you're my soul sister, and that's
Likewise, back at
thank
you. So grateful for all you do. All right, we'll talk again soon. Much, much, much love.
absolutely.
All right. Well, it's always like a treat to hear from Karen, and she's such an inspiration of all the things that she's doing, that she's done here. She's done so much to heal other people, but here she's done something amazing to heal herself and been an amazing example. Like, what courage to have the shattering of both of her patella and having to go to her community around her. And now, where she didn't have to go to the hospital, she used the genius, she used biofeedback, she used herbs, she used Reiki, she used Yoni steam, she used the matrix energetic, she used all these, wonderful natural therapies, non-invasive, non-toxic, to help her to really to heal at light speed. So we wanted to get an update from her, and thank you so, so much for all you do for people around you and introducing people to the genius. We really, really appreciate it. I want to just say hi to people who are joining us this morning. Anthony, thank you so much for being here. Betty Lou, it's always a pleasure to have you along. Colette, I know you're new to the community, and I just wanted to give you a warm welcome. And Colette is here from an invitation from Debbie, and Debbie, thank you so much. Danielle is here, I believe joining us from France, if that's the case. So welcome so much. Or thank you, no matter where you're joining us from. Donato is here. Anita, Fifi is back for more. I love it. Helen is joining us. Helen, big blessings to you. Wonderful cancer survivor up in Canada, actually a referral from Karen. And we're so grateful that you tune in on a regular basis. Victoria T is here. So, so good to have you. Maria is here. Maria is a brand new user of the genius that we met in Sedona a couple of years ago, and we did the class there. And Maria, I hope you're having a great time, and I'm just so grateful that you're part of our community and that you're here today. I also want to welcome Margaret. And Margaret is a new user in our community. And Margaret, I'm going to unmute you so we can talk a little bit about the work that you do, about some of the testing that you do that let you know that the genius was very promising, and what your experience has been since using the genius. We're also going to talk to Margaret about her client, and that's who I've been testing here. Is I've been testing her client while we've been sort of talking, so I could get sort of a viewpoint of what's going on with that client. We're going to talk about that. It mostly has to do with brain issues. Now, before we head on to Margaret, I want to remind everybody who's on here that my website is awakentotalhealth.com, awakentotalhealth.com. So when you want to know more about what I'm doing, please do go to the website awakentotalhealth.com. And we do many, many things that have to do with light and energy. I'm going to be doing an EMF webinar. It's gotten a huge responsiveness. The class is almost full. It's free. It's on Thursday at 5 o'clock Pacific. It will be recorded, so if you sign up, you'll get the recording. We're going to do an update, both understanding the basics of electromagnetic frequencies and how they affect the brain and especially the heart, the rhythm of the heart, why we have more AFib, how they affect the thyroid, and how 5G may affect us all, what it means, and then some solutions for EMF. So be sure to attend that webinar on Thursday. We have a hormonal class coming up, and I'm going to make sure everybody gets the link to that if you want to join us to understand how estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all these things can be harmonized with biofeedback. Make sure you jump into that class. That's one of our practitioner level classes. So now we're going to talk to Margaret. All that information can be found at awakentotalhealth.com. I'm also going to be doing 3 in-person events before we get to Margaret. I'm going to be in Reno, September 14th and 15th. I'm going to be in San Diego on October 6th and 7th, and I'm going to be in Colorado. We're going to be having a very special class in Colorado, November 4th and 5th, where we're actually going to be out at a retreat center. Actually, it's in Denver, but it's going to feel like a retreat. We're going to be in a private home that it has about 10 or 11 bedrooms, and it's going to be a sort of a full-on retreat event. So September and October, November, if you want to come and meet me in person and get to connect with the community, look for those classes on my events page. So go to the events page at awakentotalhealth.com, and we're starting to post registration for that. Okay, now on to Margaret. So Margaret, I'm going to see if I can successfully unmute you. If I can't unmute you, I may have to call you, but we'll get you on somehow. Margaret, are you there?
I am. Good morning.
Okay. Oh, I'm so grateful. Okay, Margaret, tell us a little bit about yourself, the work that you do, and how you discovered the genius.
Oh, wow. What a wealth. I do reflexology, acupressure, massage. And what got me into that was my chronic pain for 30 years that nobody could figure out. And I had to go on a mission to taking everything out of my diet and going to raw foods. I've tried just one thing after another. I just found out probably a year and a half ago that it was the methylation issue. And now I get to see clients, and a year and a half ago when I was working, I could only see one person a day, but now I can do 6
Wow,
to 8, and I am doing phenomenal. I have bad days, but I have more amazing days.
that is wonderful. Now, you do also some intuitive work. Tell us a little bit about that and how you kind of pre-tested the genius before you decided to dive in.
Intuitive work. I heard about the genius and I was like, oh my goodness, I need to get my hands on this. And so I went ahead and got it. And as I work on people, I see things, and I'm still learning, and I just want to become more confident in using this genius. Hmm.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you wrote to us about a client, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the client then.
She's having brain issues, cognitive thinking, eyes going blurry, and they keep doing, her contacts have to keep on getting stronger and stronger. Can't process protein, um, and a lot of stuff that came up on when I ran her last night was a lot of methylation, a lot of gluten, a lot of brain issues. That I see a pattern like in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I'm still learning the process of being careful of not diagnosing, so that's where I'm at.
Yeah, yeah. Just as a reminder for all of our all of our practitioners and people out there, it's always important to talk about it's energetic, to say this is an energetic reading. This
Uh-huh.
is something that is reflected in your energy field. We're not talking about a physical issue, but what I'm going to tell you about energetically, because there are three parts to you, the energy body, the physical body, the mental body, and they're all sort of tied up together, that there may be some overlap. So I try to explain it that way. We definitely don't want to be pretending that, yeah, like this is your diagnosis, or even intimating that, because that can get people into trouble. And we want to keep biofeedback really, really safe for everyone. So we say it's energetic, but often that does raise a lot of really great awareness where they can go and make important changes in their lives. And they can even go and get tested by their doctor, and their doctor may say, yes, oh my gosh, I never would have thought to look in this direction. And that can be really, really exciting. So they get to see, we hear that from doctors a lot, that the biofeedback practitioner gives them a hint, and then they look in that area and they do confirm what the issue is.
Amazing.
So what was this gal? We put in her voice through a voice message that you sent to me. And so I've already done that, and we've gotten into here. She's in her, I think, mid to late 40s. And
Exactly.
what can you tell us about when you said she was really in a bad way? What can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Just no energy, and very sensitive to everything. That's
Mm-hmm.
the main thing.
Very
Sensitive. And
sensitive. Okay.
I can relate to that because before I found out about my thing, I started thinking I'm just highly sensitive, like, whoa, everything emotionally, physically, everything. But all that has gone away once I got the right nutrients and cleansing my colon and getting the nutrients that I needed. That I was
Mm-hmm.
severely.
Okay. And when did you do the practitioner level 1 yet?
No, I haven't. I want to.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about what's going on and what I see, and we'll come back in a little bit and talk again, okay?
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. So when Margaret says she got the right kind of nutrients and she found out she had MTHFR, you know, MTHFR, typically the bottom line for people, what it means is they need more B vitamins, sort of in the colloquial, you know, explanation when people say, "Oh, man, I found out of MTHFR," it typically means that they found out that they were not absorbing or processing folic acid correctly, and also that in general they didn't have enough methylation factors. Now, these methylation factors, a lot of them can be gotten from plant foods, and specifically beets. Beets help, they have trimethylglycine in there, so we can get a lot of methyl groups from beets, BETS. Also taking methylated B vitamins. The ones that I recommend the most are from Premier Research Labs called Max BND or their B12 ND. So both of those are highly recommended. Um, so even if you don't know if you have MTHFR and it's something that we can clear energetically to a great extent, we can help to shift the DNA or at least optimize the DNA through the use of the Genius. And we have some MTHFR panels, but sort of the quick and dirty of it all is to get on more B vitamins. Most people need more B vitamins anyway, and to eat more plant-based foods like beets and your greens and your kale and things like this. So fast forwarding to the client, I was testing a little bit, and so bottom line, I just want to remind you of a couple of things, and then we're going to go back and look at some of the testing that we did. One thing I was testing this weekend and I wanted to remind you of is my 3-minute continuous balancing protocol. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit. That's where you test for 2 to 3 minutes and then you go to a deeper layer. You test again, you go to a deeper layer. And I think when you're doing this for yourself or your client, I'm going to show you this in a moment, it really makes a lot more sense because as you harmonize, you're sort of like, imagine that you're boiling something and some of the water on top is boiling off, right? Some of that is actually just sort of boils off the top. And imagine that with your harmonizing, you know, there are some superficial things that just sort of boil off the top the first 2 to 3 minutes. And then you test it again by adding 1 or 2 things. You go to a deeper level, you go to a deeper layer, and then you balance for 2 or 3 more minutes. You want to be very active and engaged in this process because you want to see what begins to percolate to the top, and you want to see what stays at the top. In my first round of testing here, I discovered that for this gal, and she did have a lot of sensitivities coming up. So sensitivities coming up either means that yes, in general, she is more sensitive, but what does really sensitive mean? Sensitive might mean, but yes, they're poor methylators. Their liver doesn't process things as well as other people. So genetically, they're not as good at detoxifying. And often those people could have more sensitivities. It could also be someone who doesn't manage their stress very well, could have more sensitivities because this cortisol reaction is short-circuiting their body and causing leaky gut reaction. And I did see leaky gut and leaky brain come up again and again. So what came up for her, the number one thing that came up was fungus. So you have to think fungus. Okay, that is usually the core issue is a gut issue. And if they have fungus, if a fungus takes over your body, right, it isn't like, oh, I have candida, I better stop eating sugar. I mean, that's one part of it, you guys, but fungus should not take over your body. That means a weakened immune system. So is it emotional stress or is it nutrition? What's going on there? If you see the hippocampus is out of balance, that's definitely usually from long-term stress, can actually shrink or atrophy the hippocampus. That can be a precursor to Alzheimer's. So it's something you want to be very, very careful of. Vegetable oil, I could wax poetic on this. If you have vegetable oil in your life to any degree, you want to minimize it or eliminate it. The kind of like taking that salad dressing shaker and shaking it over your salad, not good. Or if olive oil or vegetable oil is in a lot of your processed foods and so forth, it actually reduces your circulation and could reduce the circulation to the brain. Now, spraying a little bit of olive oil or, you know, a little like a teaspoon or something to absorb your salad better. We're talking about small amounts. Minimize the amount of vegetable oil is not a good thing. Any type of oil, you want to get it from the source. If it's a sunflower oil, eat the sunflower seeds. If it's pumpkin seed oil, if it's olive oil, eat the olives. If it's coconut oil, eat the coconut. That's the idea. Butcher's broom, we read into this, butcher's broom is used both for hemorrhoids, kind of weird, to help with hemorrhoids and to strengthen the veins, but it's also used to increase circulation. And it's been used these days to increase circulation in the brain. The vagus nerve, when there is stress in the body, especially emotional stress, it can affect the vagus nerve. The longest nerve in the body, the longest cranial nerve, goes out from the brain and goes down and regulates the whole digestive system. So what we're seeing here is a stress picture, a picture of some type of emotional stress going on. So I did harmonize a little bit here. Let's just take a picture of this. Let's go back and take a picture of the aura, which I didn't do at the beginning. And let's just talk about the beginning of a case to go all the way back here. So this was something a client, we got permission to work on the client. She reported was that she just feels really bad. Let's see. Having trouble with cognitive retention, feeling discombobulated. I've been bad about eating balanced lately. Seems like I don't absorb anything or break down protein. Incidentally, my eyes have been blurry and hard to see at times over 1 year. My contact prescription keeps changing. So this kiddo has a lot going on. There's you know, some beautiful energy coming in here. That's usually when you see something that looks angelic, call it like it is. It's probably angelic. There's a lot of wonderful light coming in this side. We pull energy in from the left side. We push energy out the right side. This is considered the right side because consider that the person is facing you. Now we do see some grays sort of overhead here. A lot of this is looking good. I have been harmonizing her for a couple of minutes. And I want you to remember that a couple of minutes goes a long way in this type of biofeedback. We don't have to harmonize someone for an hour and be waiting for the results. The archetype encoded process that's in the Genius, the way that it was set up was for the busy practitioner that needs to complete a session in 15 minutes or less. It's not about the length of time. It's about setting up the session for success. And that's what we talk about in the practitioner program. So get that practitioner level 1. If you have not gotten it, we talk about this whole paradigm of setting up your system, your strategy successfully. So now, just to go back to the beginning, the first thing I'm doing after I'm getting the voice in the picture, right? I had a pre-recorded voicemail that was sent to me, so I played the voicemail. Get in here and see, just like she reported, the sensitivities are there. So I had included all of these sensitivities: grass, soy, rye, vegetable oil. She's allergic to it. Probably has a pet, or somebody she knows has a pet. Some tomatoes, shellfish, dairy, eggs, lots and lots of sensitivity. So she's absolutely right. There is a preponderance of sensitivities here. We see mold, nuts, perfumes, sulfites, everything up to 200. That's where you go with this. So we see all of that. And then we want to look and we see what else looks high or low. So first we might be looking for the obvious reds and blues. So we see also chemical sensitivities. So food sensitivities, chemical sensitivities. Then we start to put together that pattern. Yes, the liver is probably overloaded. Why is the liver overloaded? Is it because of obvious exposures, Or is she just sort of a poor detoxifier to begin with? So it could be really either one. Or has stress been such in her life that it's really sort of jamming the process of detoxification? Now, your methylated B vitamins will reflexively take care of this. So if you're not sure, get the Max BND. Because even just having more B vitamins in your life will help to move those liver pathways. If you want to get fancy, then make sure you have the beet powder, steamed beets, beet juice, and do castor oil pack. If you're too busy to do castor oil pack, guys, every morning I take a little bit of castor oil, and right before, I'm in the shower, and I'm going to put some castor oil on my chest, my abdomen, my, around the whole lower part of the abdomen. So I'm getting the ovaries, the uterus, the upper part near the ribs, getting the liver. So I want to get all of that, all the lymphatics around there moving with the castor oil. A lot of people are busy, don't have time to do castor oil pack, but make sure you're doing everything for your liver. As you regulate the liver, you'll support it so you can deal with these sensitivities better. Okay, so when we looked at these, we saw chemical sensitivities, right? So now what else comes up? So body systems, I'm going to be interested in what that is. So we saw immune system. When you're exposed to toxins in the world of environmental medicine, the first place it affects is your immune system, like allergies, food sensitivities, bloating, etc. The second thing it affects is your endocrine system. So we see that's kind of mildly affected there. As it gets deeper, we don't see it today, but then it affects the nervous system is the thing that it most deeply affects. So when it goes to the deepest level. So we want to sort of, when we're going in and we're like, oh my God, what do I do with the genius? There's so many things here. I always look at the physical things first. I look at my reds and my blues, and then I'm going to go basically where I want to go to understand more about the case. So it was described to me as a brain case. So I'm going to go into my special testing libraries. Many of you have these, and I'm just going to type in the word brain, and then all of the brain panels are going to come up. So I looked at brain anatomy, right? And we saw that the hippocampus was something that was an issue. And we had these other, we see a lot of things coming up. When you see things in blue, blue is a very significant color. Low, depletion, stagnation, chronicity, and compression are words that we use to describe these things that come up on the genius. So even if you didn't know what any of these words mean, you want to ask yourself, what is the pattern here? Well, the pattern is, my goodness, I'm seeing a lot of things in blue that have to do with brain anatomy. I think this means there might be an issue going on here. So you guys, it's as simple as that. Common sense, putting together patterns. Think you do know this stuff. You get it. You also are being helped by your intuition. So all of these things coming together, you do know a lot. So we had the amygdala, the pituitary, the vagus nerve, the blood-brain barrier. Now the blood-brain barrier, when there is stress or sensitivity in the gut and you get leaky gut, then you will get stress and sensitivity in the brain, which is called leaky brain. So that's very much what's going on here. I would say that, the overall impression of what I get is that it's very, very important for this client to have some type of meditation routine in the morning, even if it's just for 5 minutes looking at a candle and trying to clear your thoughts. Or if you don't want to say Om, just say the word one, something that can still the mind. And then you can go much further than that. You can go much deeper than that. But just for 5 minutes, a routine to clear the mind and to deal with some of the stress, because that seems to be the biggest, that there's a lot of signs that high cortisol and stress has affected this person. Okay, so we see the pineal and so forth. So we would go all the way up to 200, then these other things would be considered not an issue today. But overall, we see a lot. We include all of these things, which I've already done, down into the main hold tray, where we're going to retest them in Progressive Insights to come to new conclusions, because it's going to tell us of all of these things that could potentially be problematic, which is the most problematic, so that we inform the energy field where to spend the most in order to harmonize, where to spend the most time and effort. And what we found in the first round was that the hippocampus was the thing that was the most affected. Now, the hippocampus is one of the structures in the brain that is most affected by stress, by emotional stress. The studies tell us that long-term stress can even atrophy, or deteriorate the hippocampus in a significant way. So I did a lot of testing in the brain, and we always, with this type of a case, would want to include the flower essences. So if we go into the mind area, we see neurotransmitters. That might be interesting. We probably want to test that too, because those are the chemicals of the brain. This is all about the brain. And we don't see anything that's high. We see epinephrine. That's another stress hormone. So we'll include that. Then we want to get to our flower essences. Very, very important, because they're like the spiritual aspect of the whole thing. They tell us like what journey this person is on, tells us about their journey and what they're dealing with. So we want to include everything, say up to 650, and everything up to 200. Ooh, we got a lot going on down here. So that's a very high resonance with the flower essences. Tells us that this person is very much, all the chestnuts, look at that, is very much open to the energetics of the flower essences. So this would be a very good thing, whether she uses them just as flower essences or if she uses them as the energetics. If we make a water remedy for her when we're done with this, or just give her those energies. So now we want to travel back to the progressive insights by going to the bottom right. We go here and we go to progressive insights. This is a tighter testing algorithm. It's where we get our aha moments of all of the things that the person is dealing with. We ask universal consciousness, right? We ask their higher being, which are the ones that are energetically the most important, that are of the highest level of priority. And then we go there. So surprisingly, it says dust. And you guys, when you have an excessive amount of dust in your home or in your office, it can carry endocrine disruptors. So it can actually carry a significant amount of toxins, so much so that it could actually affect your hormones. Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, amazing, right? So I do recommend an air purifier called an IQ Air. It's something that you can get online. Get the 20% off deal from Bed Bath & Beyond, and just go and research IQ Air. Go ahead and research those air purifiers. Do something in your home to make sure that it's as free of dust as possible. And when you have pets, it gets more difficult. We see ginkgo. Ginkgo is to open up the circulation. In fact, you guys, a lot of people know about ginkgo biloba for brain function. So it's very like sort of unsexy, right, to talk about. It's not of like astounding as the brand new herbs that we could talk about. Yet ginkgo remains one of your best resources for keeping your brain healthy into older age. So if you just want to grab a bottle of ginkgo or run the energy of ginkgo, even better, run this ginkgo every single day for yourself in order to increase that circulation. A lot of what brain health is about opening up the circulation. Even better than that, make sure you're exercising, make sure you're doing inverted postures, make sure you're getting oxygen into the brain. GABA is an important neurotransmitter that helps to calm down the brain. That seems to be up for her again. We see maybe that whole, it's a stress scenario here. EMF, so the wireless router, we're going to be talking about that this week. Make sure to get into that webinar that starts on Thursday. You have the link down below. ATP production, this could be a mitochondrial issue. Nuts, sensitivities, the vagus nerve. Wow, we're not really getting, it's interesting that all of those, vinpocetine is another herb for the brain, leaky brain, animal hair. I definitely need to know if this gal has some type of a pet. Century is really about connecting to the heart, and none of those flower essences really went to the top, which means that the physical issues are today of much greater priority, which is, so it kind of says that she is in that kind of physical crisis, which sort of coincides. Now, what we would expect is that after a session of harmonizing with the genius for 6 minutes or even 9 minutes total, like 3 of these different little drill down sessions, that she would start to feel a new sense of clarity. And I've seen that even just right in my office, you guys. I've had people often that when they're getting the genius session, they just go right to sleep. So they sort of conk out for a minute or two, sort of a little in-office nap. And when they come back, they feel significantly better and they feel significantly more awake and alive. Cereven is for improving the circulation in the brain. Benfotiamine is a vitamin B1 for the brain. So I think the diet could definitely be better. The food could be better. We need a diet that will be anti-inflammatory, will reduce inflammation in the body, and thus, as it reduces it in the body, reduces it in the brain. We need that. And Century is the putting your foot down essence. This is a flower essence that has to do with putting your foot down, making a firm decision. Kind, gentle people who are over anxious to serve others. They overtax their strength in their endeavors. This is the Dr. Bach definition. This is what he says. Their wish so grows upon them that they become more servants than willing helpers. Their good nature leads them to do more than their share of the work. And in so doing, they may neglect their own particular mission in life. This essence is needed when the person gives so much but forgets or forgoes the act of self-nourishing. The discovery and in training the energy of this essence is that you take time to nourish yourself. It allows you to serve others from a place of having something nourishing to ultimately authentically give with others. This is my interpretation from my Success System book, you guys. So we're going to have this hopefully done soon where people can get this connection between the essences and the acupuncture meridians. So for harmonizing, you can use Century with stomach 40. So stomach 40 is an important meridian point, and then just use the stomach meridian. So this point connects the spleen meridian to the stomach meridian. It turns out that the stomach and spleen work together. When they work together, you are more likely to be able to assist others in a way that does not mean you become automatically depleted. So let's, so what we would do here, we'll do this other thing in a minute, we would just harmonize here for 2 to 3 minutes. You guys, a lot happens in 3 minutes, especially when we set this session up with so much thought in advance. That means that what we're doing is not just happenstance. We're doing very specific energies for this person in a very specific way. So there's a lot that happens in a case. It's both what's revealed by the genius, which is, you know, in my experience, almost always accurate once it's interpreted, once you understand why it's there. Everything has mistakes, you guys. I mean, we don't take the genius as like it's the gospel. We try to look at it as overall to understand the overarching message that's being communicated. When you're a genius practitioner, right? When you're a biofeedback practitioner, you're not an automaton. You are an active part of the equation. You're directing your intention and your energy to the task that's desired, to the intention of the client. It's their desire to get better, your desire to help them, and then the genius is part of that, you know, triangle or that trinity. Then when you have all three together, that's when you see the miracles. And when you're working with yourself, when you have your own intention to help yourself and you're working with the genius, it also is effective. I know, because when I work on myself on the genius, it's amazing the difference. All of a sudden I find myself, oh, I'm feeling so much better today. Oh, I did my genius session today. So I know that a lot of our community finds that as well. So once we finish here, we can add in the Century lesson is to use the stomach meridian and specifically stomach 40. So we'll do that in just a moment. So I think that the bottom line for this client is that definitely something is going on with the brain. They do need to take action. They need to adopt a diet that will help to heal their gut and heal their brain, to be cautious about when using electromagnetic frequencies, but it's also really important that they work on their stress management through more movement, through exercise, and through some type of stress management technique. This is something that's interesting we saw the other day when we're sort of in mid-cycle of working on someone, that it's almost like everything just sort of clears out and we get sort of this clarity or this sort of a neutral place, which is really, really interesting. So let's just go ahead and let's get those meridians, and then we're going to go in and do that drill down piece one more time. So there's that small intestine, you know, digestion, all about digestion, gallbladder. Let's see if the stomach is in here somewhere. Stomach is sort of there. Triple heater, also about digestion. Let's get that stomach in there, and then we want to see stomach 40. Stomach 40 is that point that goes with the flower essence century that helps her to be able to better channel her energy to other people, because she's a giver. She gives to other people. She's helping other people so that she can also stay on mission for herself. So I'm just searching here for stomach 40. There it is. Okay, so it was 118, so it is kind of resonating for her. Then let's go back here and let's see what comes up at the top. Interesting. Now we've got a lot more. I mean, almost everything now is a flower essence, and the stomach meridian comes up. I don't think we got stomach 40. Oh, yes, stomach 40 is high too. So century and stomach 40 go together. So when the person decides that they're going to not give all their energy to other people, the stomach 40 helps them to both give the energy to themselves and still be available for other people. So large is about having more confidence, and we'll look at those. So what we do here in the drill down is now we do another 2 minutes on these particular essences, and we could either do the select all, or we could just manually do the ones we want to focus on. It's really nice when we do just a few at a time, because we really give the energetic system a few things to focus on instead of an overwhelming amount of things to focus on. I just want to go all the way up to see if I can get to stomach 40 there, and I want to stop right there. Okay, so then I'm going to do that for another 2 minutes, and all of a sudden she cleared that physical stuff, and then she went right into, oh, we're going to get through all of this sort of emotional stuff, and then went right into diving into getting all these emotional energies cleared with the flower essences. So you guys, this is how we work the genius cases. We talk more about this in the practitioner classes. You can get practitioner 1 from my website. It's all downloadable. You get a certificate afterwards that shows your core competencies in biofeedback. We're having another practitioner level class starting in mastering hormones and knowing how to balance them coming up soon. That's going to be today in the newsletter. Fortunately, the newsletters have been coming out a lot more consistently. If you're not on the newsletter list, then definitely send me an email. I will make sure personally that you get it. You can always write to me in advance, Ariel@awakentotalhealth.com, or go to my website, awakentotalhealth.com, and tell me that you want to be included in next week's community harmonizing. You want to be part of the class. It's always better if you can be here in person, or if you're working on behalf of a client, be here for the client. Larch, by the way, is for those who do not consider themselves as good or capable as those around them, who expect failure, who feel that they will never be a success, and so they do not venture or make a strong enough attempt to succeed. So flower essences don't just define that person where they are at that moment. They actually like open a door so the person can walk through and be free of that particular thing that's blocking them. That's what the purpose of the flower essence is, not to tell them where they are, right? But tell them where the potential of where they can be. So let's just get a summary from Margaret and get her perspective. And this says the client has responded positively. So in 2 minutes, we went to 63% rectification. So you can get a lot done in 2 minutes. Let's just sort of summarize with Margaret here. We ran a little long, sorry, you guys. So Margaret, what was your impression of the work that we were doing?
Amazing. I see. You hit the nail on the head. Everything that I was thinking and much more. It really helped me be able to see how you do this. I like the doing it for 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. I actually accidentally did that to a client the other day, and she really responded. I was previously just doing one session, you know.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, wonderful. I think you're doing incredible work, Margaret. You should be very proud of yourself for where you're taking the genius.
Thank you very much. I'm excited.
Okay, well, let us know how she's doing. Follow up and see if she felt that some shifting going on, and we'll keep working on her even after the class is over to kind of finish up.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, have a wonderful day, and we'll talk again soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, so wow, we had such great participation today. Thanks, you guys. We have the best, members of our community. I love it. And when you get the genius, you're part of this active community, and you're part of being a pioneer, researching this and advancing this wonderful cutting edge field. What I see here is this reminds me a lot of liver, bile, solar plexus, empowerment stuff. And so we're seeing a lot of stuff starting to move in. We're not quite done with the case. So we are going to sort of wrap up for the day. But what I would do for my client, what I'm going to do for this gal is I'll work on some of the higher energies by putting some of those flower essences up into the quick zap, like the century and the larch. I'll put them up into the quick zap, and then I'll work on some of the solfeggios as well. And we'll sort of end, I'll do this on my own, but we would end up, we want to see her aura sort of ending on blue, purple, green, if possible. We like to sort of end on that good note, sort of to sum up everything, leave it at a good way, sort of like the Shavasana, sort of like the end of your yoga session. You want to leave it on a good note and sort of bring everything and assimilate everything together. So everybody did wonderfully today. Remember to check out the new events. There's a lot happening in the next couple of months. Go to awakentotalhealth.com. Make sure you're getting my newsletter. If you're not, then we just need to make sure that it's getting delivered to your box correctly, and we can do that together. So send me an email, or just go to awakentotalhealth.com, go to the bottom right and hit the contact us button, and that comes right to me. I love reading your emails and connecting with you. I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm wishing you much love and much abundance and prosperity and good health for your week, everyone. See you back here next Monday. Take care. Be well. Bye-bye for now.